Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cycle, and welcome to more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic. We're going to pick up where we left off last time, scenario number 2 of the 66 Northeast Regional to New Haven. We've arrived at Stamford in the last scenario, had our break, got a tea apparently, and it's time to continue the journey to New Haven. The lines are starting to get a little bit busier too. We might have signals. Let's go ahead and get right into it. How was your break? Good, thank you. You have another clear run for the rest of your journey to New Haven. Start by letting the passengers board here, then head to Bridgeport for another stop. Your final passenger pickup will be at New Haven, which is where the route technically ends for us, coincidentally. So, do I have to pick up the passengers again? Yes, I have to redo the passenger pickup that I ended the last scenario with. That is logical. Did the other service actually finish here and we're just picking up a new service? Is that what's going on? I'm not sure. But in any case, we are due to leave here. We're going to get the brakes out of a suppression setup here, so just minimal brakes for now. We're going to get ready to go on this flashing green as soon as we are able to. We'll review the itinerary in just a moment. So once again, there's our traction for the day, the Amtrak 631 that we're now driving. And we're going to get ourselves out of here right now. 125 points, so I assume there's 8 points that we have to, or 8-point numbers we have to work with today. We just passed a flashing green, which shows as a white over green in the cab display. I don't think I turned off my alert, so I just went ahead and did that right now. I think I saw a mark on the board move to show that I suppressed all the alarms and such. We were coming up to a 45 mile per hour speed limit, so we're not going all the way to 50. I'm already playing the speed limit at an ease back setting to make sure I can cruise through. And that worked perfectly. So we're now entering the 50 mile per hour speed limit again. And we're off on Stamford Main 4. I'm going to ease the throttle back completely at this point. Minimal gain only. Beep right into a full green signal again, so we are clear. We have a 70 coming up. We'll worry about that in a moment. Quick look at our itinerary for the second part of our journey today. We're going to go by Denton at 8:41, so we have to be there shortly, and we will be there shortly as long as we maintain the speed limits. East Norwalk track 4, also timed for 6 minutes later. We're going to go via Southport track 4, which is another 8 minutes later. We're going to pick up passengers at Bridgeport. So that is basically 27 minutes from the start of the scenario that we're going to be making that passenger pickup. We're going to continue to Milford, West Haven, and finally New Haven. These are all timed points. There is no freebie on this one. They're all timed point stops here. And we only have 2 passenger stops, so we're going to go ahead and note as much as we can along the way here. I'm losing a little bit of speed, so let's put a little throttle back on. We are on an uphill gradient. .7% uphill gradient here. There is Newborn Heights, or sorry, Norriton Heights. Norriton Heights. Let's just review all the stations that are coming up here, because it does make sense to have a full review of that as we start to get into 70. I'll just go up slowly. So Norriton Heights is, it's fine where we are. Norriton Heights is the first station we're going to see, and as you can see, it is up here. That's it. We continue along. There is our Darien point. East Norwalk is over here. You notice we passed 2 more stations on the way. The 2 stations we pass are whatever that says, and South of Norwalk. Those are the stations we're going to be passing along the way. As we get to those first 2 waypoints, we'll check in on the rest of the map again after that. Again, I don't have a copy of the map in front of me right now, but I should be able to get that, because I actually have my iPad next to me. I just realized that there is a map in the manual. I can probably refer to that. The only problem is that my battery power on my iPad is not where it should be right now. So, yeah. we will use minimal information on this. We're getting up to the 70 mile per hour speed. I'm going to cut my throttle right back. So you can see Norwich in the Heights is now passing by. No stop, just wave and think of times where you may never need to stop there. I mentioned New Canaan coming from Stamford in the last scenario. It actually is drawn on the map in the manual, which tells me that we are meant to use that. Some of the stations I am seeing that I saw and I pointed out on the map are not listed in the manual. So it looks like they're not meant to be used. They're just there for completeness purposes and for visuals, as you can get to them from going 2 miles out from where you are. So they're there for completeness in many cases. You could theoretically use them if you want to on a custom scenario, but in the official scenarios, I don't think they generally get used. New Canaan, though, is used. And of course, the path from Penn. I didn't point out properly last time, and I noticed in the replay. The path from Penn does not take the path through Harlow 125, Fordham, or any of those stations. Yankees, by the way, is marked, so you can get to go to Yankees for something. But the path from Penn goes straight to New Rochelle, so you don't go. So all the stations from Grand Central Terminal, obviously, to Mount Vernon East, they are all skipped automatically from any train coming from Penn. So New Rochelle is basically the split point of the route, and you pick one way or the other at that point, and that's the way you go. So apart from New Rochelle to New Haven itself, is all going to be used on any normal train travel on this route. So New Rochelle is really the main connection point here. In the past, it might have been necessary to drive to a place like New Rochelle or ride there in order to get a train back to Penn, but now they have the connection on the Long Island Railroad. You can just go to Woodside and make your way back to Penn that way. So we have options now. There is still no Penn to Grand Central Terminal direct service, which makes sense though, because they are pretty close to each other. Take a bus, get over there, and hop on the correct train. Costs you more, but so does taking 2 trains. I think you pronounce this Rowayton. Rowayton track 4 we're now going to be passing by, and I'm about to speed, so let's not do that. So here's Rowayton. There is a 60 coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and start slowing down gently for that. We're going via East Norwalk. We are going to pass by South Norwalk first. It looks like most of the stations are marked on as waypoints, even though they're not all tasks. So it looks like we're going to see many of these stations anyway, but I will still show you the map of where stations are as we go for each thing we're going to pass on the way. Ooh, there's a 45 coming up. I only need to go down to 60 for right now, but we are going to have a 45 and even a 30 up ahead after South Norwalk. So we're going to keep that in mind. We're going to be early for East Norwalk at this point, which I'm not upset about. Put a little bit of brakes on now because I do have to get down to 45. So let's start working our way down. Flashing green, we are slowing down. We are under the 60. I don't think this is going to be slowing down enough, especially because we got 30 up ahead. So we're going to put a much stronger brake on here. This is South Norwalk. I'm going to keep going down to 30. There's a 70 right after this 30, so it looks like it's we're getting down to 30 for some kind of landmark here, and then we're going to be going back to our regular line speed, which at this point looks like 70 miles per hour. We're going to put a little more brakes on because we do have a small dip in the track here, 0.5% gradient. I don't want to take a chance of speeding on that. So we have negated that now. And this indeed is the landmark. You can see that we are on a bridge right here of some form or fashion. That appears to be the landmark as we cross a river feature here, a water feature. Oh, that was me hitting my desk again. I'm a little klutzy these last few episodes, I've noticed. So coming up on 70 miles per hour again, we are now speeding back up for East Norwalk. It is a go via point, it is not a stop. We are aiming to be a minute early at this point. So just like last scenario, a little bit more relaxed timetable here. This should take us to 375 points on the career score. And again, the points don't matter, it's just for show. So that is East Norwalk we're passing by now. Our next go via is Southport. I'm going to ease our speed off a little here because we are early. And I don't want to gain too much speed through the speed limit. So let's look at where we are. We're going to be continuing on to Westport, which makes sense. And then after that, we have our next point of Green's Farms. I believe after that, yes, there is Southport. So we're going to check in with the map again after Southport. We're pointing out again, our first stop is only at Bridgeport, which is actually 6 miles after Southport. And then again, we have a few tasks to get to New Haven. We have a 40 up ahead. I'm actually glad I didn't go all the way to 70 here, so let's slow down. We might be given a flashing green up here. Let's find out. We're losing a little bit of time now, but we are way ahead, so it's okay. I was up and down at my times. I didn't look at the signal, but I don't think it was flashing. I think the cab would have changed to a white over green if it was flashing. I put my throttle back at 0. I'm just over the 41 right now. We're going to get down to 40 for our speed limit here. See what happens if I put a 3% throttle. I'm gaining. That's a bad gain. Don't do that. 1% throttle. Sure. Now we're on a flashing green as we go to 40 miles per hour. This is Westport. Start applying a 3% throttle again to see if we can start getting a slight increase as we go into the 70 again. Now I'm going to go ahead and push the speed limit up. We're now in the 70s, so back up. We are exactly 2 minutes early at this time on our ETA, but that's because we're actually losing some time on the speed increase right now. And it looks like we gained some back immediately. And there goes another train going by. It doesn't seem as busy as it did at Penn for some reason. Maybe all the Long Island Railroad traffic had something to do with that. But I didn't see any M7s. Yeah. They were first included with the what's it called? Oh, the one starting with H. I can't remember the name. I'm gonna kick myself. Hudson Line. I should know that. There's a Hudson Bay in Canada. I should remember that one. It's in my province. Easy name to remember. You can see Greens Park coming up, or sorry, Greens Farm. Greens Farms. Not Greens Park. I guessed the name and I guessed wrong. You're welcome. Not our waypoint, but we are going to still go through it as a hidden task. Looking ahead, I see the Fairfield Metro is listed as a station on this part of the route as well. So we'll see if we can locate that as we go along. I noticed the map in the manual doesn't show every station, which I guess for space considerations they had to do it that way, but a lot of stations on this part of the route are indeed missing. In fact, after Stamford, you only see South Norwalk and Fairfield Metro. So none of these stations we're rhyming off right now are actually shown. So we're now past Greens Farms, and we are now approaching Southport as our next station. Let's look at our waypoints before we get busy with speed changes again. So after we get to Southport, there we go. You can see we're going to have another couple stations here. So this next station is actually Fairfield. That's probably the Fairfield Metro. I didn't mean to do that. And then there's the Fairfield Metro. And then after that, we have to get around a sharp curve to reach Bridgeport, which is our stop. So we're going to pass by 3 more stations, and we need to start getting ready to slow down for our stop. Unless we have to slow down for any speed limit changes first. So far, a fairly benign scenario, but this is again an introduction scenario, so not surprising. We're actually holding very nicely at the 68.5. I think we just dropped just a smidge there. I think we must have had a change in gradient or something to cause us to drop a smidge, even at 8%. Of throttle. So our Southport goal, we are easily more than, well, almost 3 minutes ahead now. And we're just under that 3 minutes now, so we are within 180 seconds. 174 to be exact. Here comes Fairfield. We are within a mile. I have seen no speed limit changes yet, so we should be okay here. So I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this scenario, and I hope you're enjoying this drive. I think we said it was unit 631, if I remember correctly. Check that at the start of the scenario if you want. We're going to look at it later at the stop at Bridgeport. So this is Fairfield now. I see blue. Are those recycling bins or are they just blue garbage cans? That's kind of funny. Fairfield Metro now 1.5 miles away. Our stop at Bridgeport is 3 miles and change after that. So I do expect some slowing down in the build up to Bridgeport. We have to arrive by 9:03. We're currently estimated to arrive 3.5 minutes early. Late in the 9:03 minute is our time. We're going to be early in the 9 o'clock minute. I think we're continuing to shave off time as well. We're going way more efficiently than this scenario calls for, which means since there was talk about the line getting busier, we could very well run into a red signal up ahead. We don't know yet. We'll find out. So I'm going to assume Fairfield Metro means that there is an interchange with a metro track that goes through here. It doesn't connect with a regular Fairfield, it looks like. It connects with a separate station. That might be the metro that goes over us, or that's some kind of a road. I didn't, no, that's a road. Okay, but we are going through Fairfield Metro anyway. So I assume there's a metro track that connects here, probably the one on the left. I think I see something on the left. No, maybe not. In any case, Bridgeport is our next station. Also our stop. As I forecast, there is a speed restriction up ahead. I was about to say I forecast the 30, but I did not forecast the 30. I just forecast the speed restriction, so I'm going to start slowing down. We still have 1.5 miles to go to that speed restriction, but I don't like putting heavy brakes on this train because I've noticed in the first scenario that it causes some very predictable wheel slip if you try to slow down too much. Also, the reason I hate the suppression thing if you miss it, because you get penalized for wheel slip on something the train is doing to you. So, kind of unfair. So in 1/2 mile, we've only gone down about 10 miles. Then we're going to have to go ahead and put a little bit more of a brake on, which I knew I was going to have to. Especially because we're stopping anyway. Now we get a 45 at the Bridgeport platform. That's very handy. I wish those were switched around. 30 would be better at the station. I know it's the way the track is set up. It's not a DTG decision, but I still wish it was swapped around. Because it's more logical. Off a little bit on the brakes. I should be okay for slowing down to 30. In fact, I'm going to take it to a very, very slow brake right now because I'm coming in a little too slow at this point. I'm going to actually stay where I am for the moment, if I can. So there's the station now 2 minutes away. I am losing time again because I am going slow, about half speed in a 70, so I am losing ETA once again, but it won't matter. We got plenty of time. Plenty of time. We are under our speed limit coming up by the... No, we're not. No, we're going 30. We have to go down to 30. Sorry. That was a misread. A very bad misread. So I caught it in time. We are still coming down to 30, and we are good now. We are going to have a small gradient drop, or gradient downwards ahead. 0.2%. We are low enough that I should be able to catch any change. In fact, there is no occurrence to change anything there. So I've gone ahead and put a 2% throttle on to try to counteract any decrease in speed. We are slightly going up, so we're okay. We can maintain 30 almost all the way to the station. We'll be okay. We'll start slowing down about maybe between 1 and 2/10 of a mile out. I'm starting to increase, so I'm going to go ahead and stop doing that now. I'm not sure what that building is up ahead. It looks like it should be a landmark. And I see something that looks like an Eiffel Tower up there, too. I know it's not an Eiffel Tower. There's just some nondescript building on the left, but it looks like it had some kind of interesting setup to it there. So we're going to go ahead and do our brakes now. If the train will respond very nicely, please. Don't be like this, please. Welcome to Bridgeport. I've got my finger on the brake right now, the regular brake, not just the throttle one, because that's how we get our train to stop. I have lots of time, so I'm coasting to the end of the platform just because I can. And that'll do. And this is arrival at Bridgeport, track number 4. One more stop to go before you are finished for the day. You are making good progress so far. I hope so. So now that our time has been reset to neutral, we're going to go ahead and leave Bridgeport. Our next go via point is Milford. Our final stop, of course, is New Haven. We're going to have West Haven as an additional waypoint along the way as well. So let's get moving. Not a bad station here to stop at Bridgeport. You get a nice view of the water while you're stopped letting passengers on and off. Get a chance to just relax and chill out for a little while before you go to the big Union Station in New Haven. And there comes one of those regional trains again. So I've eased my throttle back. 45 is our speed limit. I'm at 43. I don't necessarily want to go all the way to the speed limit. I'm sure I'll have plenty of time without having to do that. I think we are going to be passing by the Bridgeport East Yard momentarily here. Central Main 4 goes along through it, I think. Take a look from on top of the train. We're going to be going into a 60 and a 70, so I'm not too concerned here about speeds. So we're not at the yard yet, but it's going to be coming along on the right, I believe. I think you can actually see some tracks coming in over there, unless I'm just imagining things, which is very, very possible. I may be imagining things. So hopefully we'll see them out the right side eventually. So we'll keep an eye out the window here just to see when they show up. We'll get decapitated by a few poles along the way. Why not? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, they're a little longer now, thankfully. There is one extra track that started to our right. I'm going to take a throttle off to 0 at this point. There's no reason for it. So there are some track junctions here. This is definitely the access to Bridgeport East Yard at this point. We are now in a 60 and increasing to a 70. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the throttle up. So let's look on top of the train again here. You can see the yard tracks starting to build up over there. There they are. So we are now passing by the yard officially. And that will eventually all end. There'll be a couple of industry leads at the far end, and then we'll be on our way to Stratford. And no, I'm not talking about the big international airport station in the UK. I'm talking about Stratford in New York. Very, very common name. We have a Stratford in Ontario as well. Very, very popular shopping hub. Our Stratford is. I don't know about this one. Such a popular shopping hub in our case that if you want to park on their main street, you have to pay to park. Doesn't matter where you are, what time of day, you have to pay to park. It is in high demand, the parking spaces in front of those stores, because people love to shop there. So if you want to park in Stratford, in our Stratford, it's going to cost you money. Unless you park them out on the street and walk, in which case, yeah, it's free. Parking at Walmart, it's free. Walmart's not that popular, apparently. And they got a lot more parking spaces. Coming up on E60, so I'm going to go ahead and let the speed drop. Train is giving me a little bit of pressure as I go to put the brakes on here, so it looks like the cars are not fully connected as one unit. They will push and pull against each other a little bit as you change the speed on the train. So after Stratford, our next waypoint station will be Milford. There are no other stations before Milford, so we're not going to have any stations for about 4 miles and change here. So this is Stratford. And the yellow line ends, which means the station platform has ended. Is that a cornfield off to the left? What is that? Oops. Is that a graveyard? I think that's a graveyard. Yeah, I didn't want to lose that much speed. I think that was a graveyard we passed by. I was curious, and I bit, and I looked, and, well, there you go. We have a 40 coming up. We actually do want to lose speed. There's a 40 ahead. I don't know what that number is after the 40. I hate these double speed limits, so I'm going to actually drop my speed to 30 just to be safe. We don't really have the time to do it, but we have to be very cautious. I'm very, very careful with those kinds of things. So I'm going to drop to 30 just to make sure we don't have some kind of rogue speed limit. Then we're going to shoot it right back up to a much happier number. I don't think it will be a 20. 30 is the lowest I think it would be. Again, this is all because I don't want to take chances. I have to make sure it's not a something that's going to penalize me this far in the run. It probably is an increase because there is a that is the end of the bridge. So it probably is an increase, but I just don't like to take that chance. The 60 just cleared up. It is a 60. So whatever was there before as a double, one of the signs has advantage. The 60 is now confirmed as our speed. So going back up to 40, we're going to stay in that area for a moment while we pass the 60. And we're going to go ahead and increase again now. There is a 70 up ahead too, so I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to 60. I don't know if they've done this in the intervening years since this was made, but I'm actually a little puzzled why they haven't upgraded the infrastructure to all be possible, to have the entire track possible to go at the same speed limit, to be able to go 70 all the way. I find it really mystifying that they have not done that. A lot of stations seem to have their own personal speed limits on them, and it just kind of seems pointless to have this advertised at a fast point of travel and then have to slow down for every single station. There are a couple that don't, obviously, but it just seems kind of weird to have it set up that way. So if they upgrade the infrastructure on the bridges, for example, you can probably go over the bridge at a much faster speed. Of course, that means closing a track at a time and having to route traffic like massive headaches for a while, but what can you do? We are going to have another 60 up ahead, so I'm being very cautious on increasing all the way to 70. Though I'm going to have to drop my speed anyway. We're going to go back to 70 after this next little 60 interlude. So again, why these drops to 60? Just make it 70 all the way. Can the track really not handle it? Just doesn't make sense to me. So this would be much trickier to do in real life than some of those UK routes. Yeah, there are places in the UK where there's the odd speed limit change that will get you off guard and get you in trouble. But in New York, look at the speed limit changes all the way along here. This is a much more massive changing along the way of speed limits, and it really will get you off guard. It really will. You don't get to drive a train on these tracks until you know every single one by heart. So I can just imagine having to study the study having to go into becoming a train driver on one of these kinds of routes. It has to be a massive amount of study, and I don't know if you're allowed to just keep notes with you, and that will suffice. But other than that, yeah, you're looking at a lot of memorization. There's a lot of different speed locations you have to remember. If a track was just 70 all the way, I'll be happy to drive it myself. But all these interchanging speeds, good gracious, I'd stay at 60 the whole time. And that would explain why my trains would be late. Well, I go 70 and I haven't actually increased. So West Haven is our next waypoint. Now there is another set of, a very small set of yards. I forget the name of it, and I looked at it twice, and I still don't remember the name of it. Moss something, I think it is what it is. I don't think it's this. If I catch them, I'll take a look at them. Well, here it is, Woodmont. I don't think it was Moss. Yeah, Woodmont. There's something else with the name, Woodmont something. But Woodmont is the main part of the name. Let's actually take a look at those yards so you know what I'm talking about. There they are right there. So you see the Woodmont timber. Woodmont timber. Which would have made sense if I saw some trees going by that area, but yeah. So there's the Woodmont timber. Yeah, that makes sense. There's those trees. We see the trees now. Woodmont timber. There you go. Now, based on my check, Woodmont does not actually have a station. You actually just go through this area, the yard area, and then you continue. Coming up to Woodmont Main 4 West, and then Woodmont Main 4 East. This looks like a junction box, like what they call the, is the station box, or what they call it again? Signal box, that's the term. So it looked like there was a signal box on the track back there. We're now clear of Woodmont, apparently. We are now a little less than 3 miles from West Haven. The next station after that is New Haven. That will be our stop. And just to review, we have to be at West Haven by 9:21. That is going to be easy. And we have to be at New Haven 4 minutes later, which is going to be also easy. I think we'll be there in about 5 minutes. now see West Haven up ahead here. Looks like we finally got a nice long stretch of 70 track here. That's got to change up ahead. New Haven is a major station. So this is this is West Haven. I'm going to assume New Haven was built after West Haven. I don't know why I gave myself a rim shot on that. Not really that funny, but... hey, maybe it's true. Ooh, lots of signals up ahead. What's going on up here? I have lots of time. I'm going to bring the speed down well in advance. We're 2 miles from New Haven. We're going to have a 30 up ahead anyway, so I might as well slow down early and make sure I know what's going on with the signals. Even at 30 miles per hour, I would be there in about, let's see, about 3 minutes at this point. A little more than 3 minutes, but we're still a little further out here, but we're going faster too. Signals I saw up ahead. That's a little, that's something I'm wondering about. That might be junctions for yard access that we're seeing there. That might be why I see signals there. I know there are yards around New Haven. Oh, this is only a 50 coming up. Yeah, the 30 was further ahead, but like I said, I don't mind slowing down to 30 now, just to make sure I know what's going on up ahead, because we are looking at potential signals here. And we do have a 4-minute time frame for what is now basically a 1.5 minute journey. Not counting having to slow down for the stop, of course. So we're well under the speed we need to be at right now, which is just fine by me. There's New Haven again. We're not going to lose that on the HUD very easily now. That's going to stay there now. And since we got lots of signals, I'm going to zoom ahead in a moment here to see what we have coming up, just in case there's anything adverse I need to look at. We have 3 signals before New Haven. As long as they're all green, we are clear into the station. Or even if we get a yellow or a flashing green or something, we are still clear in the station. I would expect a red at New Haven, but again, the game may not necessarily program the route may not be programmed like that. It may just show you a green because you have the path, there's nothing else there. But if there's something else due to come through, you're definitely going to get the red. And it should stay red in that case. There's our flashing green. So I'm well under 30. I've actually increased the speed again because I got way too far down. But I am well under 30. I'm at 27 miles per hour. This should suffice for our speed change right here. And there it is, 30. So let's zoom in on the signal. We still have a flashing green, so I don't foresee any problems making our stop at New Haven. I'm going to drop a little more speed off to get ourselves down to 20 as we come into the station, because I don't want to be coming too fast into the station. Crossing a road bridge here, I believe this is. Let's take a look from above. Yeah, it is a road bridge. I don't know what it is, but it is a major road bridge, it looks like. Okay, so I've taken the throttle, or it's rather the brake off. Here is the start of the platform. A really, really weird setup to this platform. That is kind of strange. That doesn't look right. But nonetheless, we are going to go ahead and start slowing down for the station now. So our route does end up ahead. However, there is one more station that does not show on the map in the manual as part of the route, because New Haven is marked as the ending station. Oops, not that much brake. Putting a minimal brake application on officially. I'm going to take this off now, where it's going to come to a stop right here, and that will do the job. We have arrived at New Haven, and yeah, there was that weird thing. We're going to go back and look at that weird track at the beginning of the station, but we're going to go ahead and open the doors at 30 seconds. And that is arrival at New Haven, track number 8. Let's look at our train as we finish. Looking onwards towards New Haven State Street, we're not going to be traveling towards that station. We're just going to end right here. I went back and took a look at that path, by the way. It looks like a walking path that crosses all the tracks, but there's actually a spot in the middle where you walk between the tracks. I'm not sure exactly what that is, if it's a work track or if it's actually some kind of train spotting type thing. Or maybe it's a tram that goes through and you're actually allowed to cut. No, it doesn't make sense. There's no way a tram would be doing that. In any case, yeah, it looks like it's some kind of normal route. It just looks kind of weird because they use the platform texture for that path. It must be some kind of a line path where there's lines drawn on the path to tell you where to stay within if you're walking across. But of course, if there's trains going by, you have to be able to not be on those tracks. It is outside the station grounds. So I imagine it's a work track. Maybe it is a crossing track for people. I don't know. But in any case, yeah, we're done here. Nicely done. How did you find that? Okay, thanks. You have finished the 2-part full-length run. There are a range more of scenarios for you to attempt. Have fun. Scenario complete. Alright, that's the end of that. So make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our score, which should be perfect. That was easy. Again, I got that ding as I left the train, so I think that is something to do with the train itself. We may not get that in scenarios that use a different train, but I think they all use a similar train. I don't know. But in any case, New York, New Haven, Blue Wash, we got our 700 or more, which, again, 1,000, easy. So, yeah, that's 2 scenarios done on New York, New Haven. I'm apparently the only person on my entire friend list who has done the second part of this scenario. Even the guy who did the first one on the other scenario didn't do this one, which is interesting. But, yeah, I guess these scenarios were seen as boring, and there's way too much more interesting content out there for people to play that they didn't want to play these scenarios. You know, it's a logical explanation, isn't it? I mean, there is a lot of stuff in the workshop for this route, and for Northeast Corridor, and for Pacific, what's it called, Pacific Surfliner, and for other routes as well. And I'm sure there's a few for Hudson as well, for the Hudson route. So, yeah, there's all sorts of stuff you can find in the workshop. Sherman Hill has a ton, by the way. I'll say that right now. Sherman Hill and Soldier Summit are really, really big workshop routes as well. In any case, enough talk about other routes. We're talking about this route. I am going to stay with this route on Tuesday. We're going to do one of the smaller scenarios on Tuesday. I will see you for that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever it is for you, your part of the world. I'm Cyclone. See you next time. Bye-bye.